It's going to be the Netherlands facing off against Austria. And there they are coming out here, and there's the Netherlands and Austria. Gotta love. By the way, I want a Netherlands jersey. Just saying, that orange is too fly.
It's pretty fly.
Why don't you want a Swedish jersey?
Because it's
only if it has your name in the back
so.
of it.
Oh,
There you go.
That's your name.
There you go. Look at that. Nailed it.
nailed it.
And there
It's your
is the
name.
squad.
See what you did there?
Wait, what did you do?
It's your name.
It's your. Oh,
He did
oh,
that
Not
one.
on a big
That's your
money
name.
check.
Yeah, that's right. Call me Serena
Get
Williams.
good.
All
Right.
right. So, Jamerson, the Netherlands here, they are feeling pretty confident going into this matchup.
I mean, we covered it yesterday, right? Team full of rock stars. We did have to have Crusade swap on over onto that diva role, but it looked like he took to it fairly well. He was flexing well onto it. He even pulled out the Zarya at some points, and it seems like, you know, he really did mean to prove a point. I'm not just a Lucio player. I can frag with the best of them also and play the diva role in a really defensive manner. So I was really excited to see him do that, and I think they could succeed.
And then, on the other side of the stage, it's the boys from Austria. And Zoe, you have high hopes for this team.
I really do. I mean, not just because they have Katowice and 7, the two experienced and very, very well-known players internationally. However, on a national basis, the rest of the team is also very well-known. They've been playing together in teams and against each other as well, competing on the highest level in their own country. And they're ready to show what Austria has in store for the rest of the world. So I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, bringing it all out there. Reinforce, how do you feel about this Austrian team against the Netherlands? Can you see an upset here?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Well, pretty good is
Just strong words.
yeah,
here.
strong words I'm using here. If What7 pulls out the Winston, maybe they have a bigger chance than they had versus South Korea yesterday. I'm looking forward to that. This is pretty much going to be the group decider in many ways, because if Austria stages a win here over Netherlands, they have a really good shot tomorrow to secure their second place in the group. So I think they can definitely do it. Maybe take 1 or 2, maybe even 3 maps.
Really?
Depending on how Netherlands show up, of course. I mean, Netherlands should have this in the bag, but you never know with
They
Overwatch.
should have.
So,
Yeah.
should have.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
I mean, hey,
Well,
we
I mean,
saw
South
Poland
Korea,
today, you know, take it to South
Exactly.
Korea.
Yeah, I
so-
mean, they took a point, and that shouldn't happen. So maybe
Yeah,
what happens in this series?
They
I don't
were
know.
very firm that they were not going to lose any points or anything like that, and you know, hey, they made it happen. So anything is possible, Jamerson. Are you worried for your Netherlands boys over there?
No, I think Netherlands are going to be great. Too easy, should be warmed up properly, so we'll see him go off.
All right, guys. Well, it is time for our second matchup of the day. It's going to be Austria versus the Netherlands. Let's send it over to your casters, Uber and Mr. X.
Hey guys, welcome back to the casting booth. Yes, Uber here with Mr. X. And again, a clash that, at least for me personally, hits a bit closer to home now. Very much a Central European stoush. The Netherlands versus Österreich.
Yeah, and I think the Netherlands, they're going to take this, obviously, you know, very serious. They're one of the teams we've seen warm up a lot, you know, coming in. Morta comes back into the room. He's talking to all the talent. He's even confident, you know, going against South Korea tomorrow. He's like, hey, don't count us out in that series. I think here against Austria, we'll kind of find out what they learned about, you know, their team from that South Korea match yesterday. Maybe they can make some improvements here against the Netherlands.
Katowice as well, you might not know too much about him, but he's actually quite a popular streamer if memory serves. And like I said, I think top 10 EU still, as far as ranking is concerned. So definitely a strong player. All right, I'm going to put this to bed now.
Yeah.
This whole Widowmaker secret weapon thing, we need to move past this, okay? I understand that it's a strong pick for Icky, but any team that's worth their salt is going to know how to punish a Widowmaker. It's less about the Widowmaker's positioning, more about if you can dive. We've seen that Netherlands are able to do that. Austria need to respect that fact going into this. They will punish, or they will be punished, for overusing that Widowmaker pick.
Well, I also think for it to be a secret weapon, it has to also be a secret. I mean, when you scrim everybody and you use the Widowmaker,
guys, we're ready to Widowmaker.
Every interview, secret weapon's going to be the Widowmaker. Don't tell nobody. It's like, well, like, the cat's out of the bag a little bit. So I think you're going to have a lot of teams who are going to be more prepared for the Widowmaker. At this point, they should have told everybody they were going to run Widowmaker and then not run Widowmaker. Maybe you could have thrown some teams off that way. But I know yesterday when they ran the Widow, they just didn't have enough space against South Korea. Maybe they can make it work today against Netherlands.
It's literally a worse kept secret than the last few of 2Easy's roster pickups, I'm going to be honest with you.
Ooh, that one burned.
Lumbani, going to be our first map of this series here, a hybrid of course. And we saw a little bit of this from Austria earlier on, actually, against South Korea yesterday. And it was, yeah, not really a stellar performance. Oh, no, sorry, that was Kings Road. It was in the second match of the day. Not a stellar performance, I think, that we saw from Austria in their matches yesterday. Again, there's ability on this team. What7, of course, is a player with a pedigree that could be considered a professional level. The Netherlands, of course, bristling with talent.
Yeah, they have a lot of very talented players. 2Easy would make the joke, but he's been on a lot of teams, you know, in the past.
I love the
very
benching
talented
thing
player
in their clip.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's fantastic. Everyone waving over at him as he sits.
Well, hey,
That's
there's
great.
two ways to go about it. You can be super salty and get upset, or you can just kind of joke around about it and move on. Know that, I mean, use this as kind of a tryout tape, right? Know it's going forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, 2Easy specifically, I mean, these two players have a long history, by the way. 2Easy and Morta used to be on the same team back in a completely different game under the roster of Fnatic. They were world champions in Battlefield over many, many, many seasons. These guys know each other really well. They're not on the same team anymore. They're sort of broken, splintered as Overwatch came around, but they know each other's tendencies. And who better to have as the caller, you know, for a player like 2Easy who can get emotional sometimes is Mort.
We'll see how Austria starts off their attack, and it looks like they're going to get pinned in the corner, and right away they are falling. 2Easy running through with the Tracer, able to take out Icky. Their Zenyatta falls as well. It's going to end their entire push right before it really even started.
It's interesting actually to see a team that wants to meet their opponents so far out of that first point. The Netherlands just wanted to get a bit of information. They realized Austria were maybe overextended or not grouped correctly. So they said, instead of this being a reconnaissance mission, we'll make it a seek and destroy.
Well, now it puts a lot of no pressure on Austria, right? Because you get that attack right up close. You're going to be very careful about the angles you push. You're always going to expect a presence from Netherlands around each corner.
Icky getting a lot of damage onto him from the Tesla rifle. They're forced to back away, and that was Yoda right in the doorway, spreading a bit of damage here. And there's been no egress found by Austria thus far. Crusade was a bastion up on the top ground, not an actual bastion, but a stronghold for the Netherlands there, getting a lot of healing and getting those finishes off there. Kabaji just throws himself into the abyss and gets it over and done with.
Yeah, when Austria's trying to push, when you lose that Winston and D.Va right at the beginning of the fight, there's nothing the 76 can do from that position, right? I mean, he's trying to put down a lot of damage, trying to get D.Va out of the mech. When both of your tanks fall, it's going to be very hard to push forward. They all disengage. Now going to have to wait for everybody to spawn up. Try it again.
Again, Crusade trying to get a little bit of early information, give as much time for Netherlands to respond as possible. Now, What7, he's putting his foot down. There was a Discord all put over on towards Jonah, but no real damage has been applied. The healing's been excellent, and the defense matrix from Crusade has been used nicely. Austria still clumped up here. If there's any moment that Netherlands want to come forward with this pulse bomb for 2Easy, this could be devastating for the Austrians.
Even the Dragon Blade in this small vicinity, everybody from Austria just kind of clumped up in this small room trying to push through the choke. And here they come with D.Va flying forward.
That's the pulse bomb. Mitsuru's claim, but it's just the one kill, and the responding fight is actually not bad from Austria. Vizildi and Jonah goes down. Vizildi still has his Dragon Blade, but didn't have a chance to properly use it. And now Austria are streaming on towards the point. The attack visor is not quite enough to claim Dante's life, but What7 is there with the follow-up, cleans up the Zenyatta, and now Austria set up on this point. There is a chance that Netherlands could go for something here. 2Easy sitting off towards the back. He's posturing from a flanking position, and the Dragon Blade and Primal Rage from Jonah should be enough for the Netherlands to go.
Yeah, Jonah's going to come over the top with the Primal Rage. He gets stuck there with a Pulse Bomb, able to live through it. Facility still with that Dragon Blade. They're going to force the Transcendence out early, but Facility going to fall there before he can even get the Blade off. That's a huge pick.
Yeah, and he wanted to use the Blade, and you can tell that because there's other ultimates being committed to this fight by the Netherlands, but without the cutting power, I guess, of the Dragon Blade from Facility, there's nothing to follow up that Transcendence.
Yeah, now you're going to see the stall coming in from the Netherlands. They're all going to get wiped. It'll be Austria taking the first point here. It's a good push through the top. That was well executed, right? Their first three pushes, they get picked at the beginning. They can't really get anything. You can make an argument that's really their first good attempt they're able to break.
The Netherlands committed ultimates to that fight, quite a lot of them. In fact, Dante did use the Transcendence earlier on. Vizildi still has the Dragon Blade, but now there's very little to back it up in terms of the Netherlands ult bank. It's actually more likely that Vizildi has to hold on to that until the next wave of ultimates start appearing for the Netherlands. So it becomes a bit of a moot force at this stage. Or he's going to use it right now. So he's going to use it unassisted off screen right now. It's what's 7 now. And he's going to be able to clean up Dante pretty comfortably. The rest of the Netherlands are trying to group up here on the payload.
Yeah, they're just trying to push a little bit further back, not get picked off. So one of their members dropped. You see Crusade there, knocked out of mech. Now you're going to see Austria pushing on forward. You see Watt7, he's been very aggressive with that Winston today. It's something Reinforced talked about on the desk. Maybe he brings that Winston out, makes an impact. He has definitely had a good start to this match.
Yeah, initially picked up as a Reinhardt player for Team Dignitas. He's obviously had no problems transitioning over to the more aggressive role. And, okay, so Vizildi went for their Dragon Blade. We didn't see it because we were watching Watt7 just pummeling the heck out of Dante, but Vizildi got nothing from it. And that's the problem with Dragon Blade at the moment when you're not running an Ana. It can be very, very hard to cut through some of the front lines here of your opponents when there's not a nano boost or something else to assist you in getting those kills.
Yeah, it's very difficult now. I mean, when obviously you have the Transcendence or the Sound Barrier up to get anything with the Dragon Blade. And you see Jonah, he's going to hop in, just trying to contest the payload here. The Sound Barrier comes in from Netherlands as well. And now it's going to be Icky using the Tac Visor, just trying to find anything. He's going to find Dante all the way in the back, not able to finish him off, but backs him up just enough. And here comes the Primal Rage.
Self-destruct over on the point there. Quick resweep from Crusade. He's going to get back in his mech. Vizildi is over the point there, but he's not close to another ultimate. Too Easy's Pulse Bomb could be big here. He gets the D-suit on Sensotic, so no risk of that getting eaten up. In fact, Too Easy just goes with the Pulse Pistols and finds Uber Bingo. And the Netherlands do recover at just the right time. This is annoying to play from this position as Austria. I think we always say it just before the second point on escort maps. It's painful to try and push through because the walking distance is just so damn long.
And you remember yesterday in their first match of the Netherlands against Poland, Poland was able to take that first point. They took the second one right away. And then once Netherlands got a good hold, they were able to just stop them from completing the map. So right now, it's kind of reminding me of that game where Netherlands is getting these good holds, building up ults, may stop Austria right in their tracks.
And once they set their feet, they seem to be good, but Too Easy, they double the pulse bomb. Both supports have fallen. Perfect opening to the fight for the Netherlands, and this is going to take all of the bite away from Austria. Only the bark, and even that is starting to be silenced as they are cleared off the payload. Perfect opening for Too Easy. You literally can't get too much better without a Graviton than two supports killed with a Pulse Bomb. Lovely.
This next fight, though, is huge for Austria. I mean, you see they have a Pulse Bomb of their own. They have a Sound Barrier in the Primal Rage. The side of the Netherlands, they have nothing right now. They need to win this fight, Austria. They got to advance the payload to that final stage. They have a great opportunity to do it with a lot of ults in their favor.
And this may well be their last chance to do so as well, Matt. Given the distance as well to the payload, Austria now, it's now whatever, and it's a perfect opening for them. Quite fortuitous timing even, but they need to execute this fight correctly. Kabaji will be lurking with a Pulse Bomb here. He's no Too Easy, but doesn't necessarily want to take him head-to-head right now.
We'll see what he gets with this Pulse Bomb. Right now, it just seems like he's surveying for information, but Watt7's able to take out Dante in the back. That's a huge kill into one of the supports. Netherlands players are falling like crazy here as Kabaji gets that little extra barrier from the Sound Barrier. Going to be Austria wiping through the Netherlands. They should be able to advance the payload, unlock that final stage.
And for Netherlands, this isn't too concerning right now.
No.
Morta had a Sound Barrier come online about midway through that fight after we lost 3 players, and he said, look, we could use it here to try and stagger and stall and make something happen, but instead I'm going to save it and make sure that Austria can't snowball off the back of that second checkpoint. That's going to give the Netherlands a very important opportunity to set up and get ready to prevent Austria multiple times. They've only got 1 minute and 20 seconds left, Matt.
Yeah, but Kabaji does hold on to the Pulse Bomb as well. It's a lot of pressure on Dante. Gonna back him up a little bit. Vizildi, though, able to take out It0. See, though, Kabaji needs to make this Pulse Bomb worth it.
A trade out, at least for the Genji there. And now Too Easy also is going to trade himself out for Uber Bingo. He's taken down by arguably his own Pulse Bomb there. A little bit overextension from the flanking defenders from Netherlands, but they still managed to keep most of their front line back towards this corner, which is definitely going to cause Austria to take some pause for thought. They still can't barrel in.
Well, look at Austria's ultimates right now. I mean, you have the Pulse Bomb. Here comes the Diva ultimate from the side of the Netherlands, and it looks like a few players get caught, and it's going to be Icky falling, and he had the Tac Visor as well. That's a huge first pick. You see the Dragon Blade coming out for a facility. We'll see if he can get anything with it. There's going to be one searching for more, but look how far Austria is backed up. Just trying to stay alive here, Mitch. They don't want to get staggered out.
Yeah, it looks like they probably will, at least to a degree. Icky now respawning back in. I want to point out there as well, Icky would not have died to that self-destruct if Jonah had not landed on him with the rocket boost and actually knocked him back into the blast zone. That's quite frustrating for Austria, and for Netherlands, that's just a little piece of some very good coordination.
Oh, look at this. The Netherlands are going to be very aggressive. They use the Transcendence. They push all the way on forward. Austria cannot get anywhere near the point. no use of their ultimates at the beginning. Kabaji just trying to stay alive with Sensotix. Sensotix drops that Diva ultimate on the point. Kabaji solo, using the recall, just trying to stay up. Hiding behind the payload here. He's going to have to back out. The overtime bar is moving downward, though. Kabaji getting some help. Here comes Watts7, though, with Primal Rage. The sound barrier as well from Austria trying to extend this game.
Yeah, Austria playing with a 5-man roster right now, but it's not been too bad. Dante finds Itzeru, though, with a self-destruct in through the back. There's a bubble there that's going to defend Austria from a lot of the blast damage. Crusade, though, what a key part of this fight. He's up on his feet. He's giving Vizility the space to get these kills, as is Too Easy now. Overtime is there, but Sensotix is not long for this world. He's going to be cut up in a nice, manageable package. And the Netherlands do put a halt to the run of Austria before that third point. And Matt, these kind of maps, we see this very often. The goal is not necessarily to stop your enemy team in their tracks on the first point or the second point. It's a bonus if you do, but the best thing you can do is to make it very, very costly for the enemy team to advance and stop them at that last point. There's a big defender's advantage there. It can be frustrating to try and flank them properly or get them out of position. And that's where many teams, much like on maps like Route 66, for example, put up their big stand as defenders.
Yeah, and I mean, trying to get this last point on Nubani proves to be very difficult, especially when you're trying to get through that small choke. You're trying to, maybe you send guys up top, but then you're kind of split off, and then you got to work your way back towards the payload. Proves to be very difficult. I actually think, to be honest, from the game we saw yesterday with Austria, right, and we watched a lot of the Netherlands game, it's like almost weird. Like you would say, like, oh yeah, one team had a great half, one team had a bad half. Like I would say that was actually pretty decent from both teams, right? Netherlands gets a hold. Austria, they show some improvement from yesterday where they're able to take that first point and advance the payload reasonably far.
Yeah, and I'd say, look, probably one of the biggest things that people are wondering looking at this matchup is how, if a skill gulf exists between the two teams, how big is it? A lot of people expected Netherlands to be the hot favourites coming into this match, and I think, again, the Netherlands, much like yesterday, have repeated a performance where they've been able to find their feet on that last point of the map. Teams have not been able to undo them. However, it didn't take Austria too long to take that first point. The Netherlands did a very, very good job of just making sure the transactions in terms of, distance for damage were in their favor as much as possible.
Yeah, I feel like when you watch like South Korea or Russia or even Canada, right, they're like these explosive teams, right? They just make these highlight plays. I feel like the Netherlands is like just a very rock solid team. Like they're never going to have those like superstar crazy explosive plays. They just play rock solid. They're very structured Overwatch.
Yeah, we heard Too Easy even mention, and this is comes from Too Easy, this is incredibly high praise, saying that Vizility may well be the best player on the Netherlands roster on this Genji. We've already seen him be highly impactful in a couple of fights. Again, the unassisted Dragon Blade is always going to struggle to find its mark, but he's been very, very solid. I'm interested to see how he navigates his first point. He's going to be going for the dive in, followed up by Jonah and Crusade here, but needs to be very careful of Watts7, respect the damage.
Yeah, it looks like just poking for damage now. Just trying to get a view on where all the members of Austria is, but that's a big first pick. Too Easy, trying to get up to that high ground. Icky's able to take him out. It's going to force Netherlands to back all the way up.
And look, the hallmark of a team that's paying a lot of attention is listening to each other is that they can flip the switch as soon as they have that man advantage. We talked about it yesterday a lot, Matt. Having the first pick in a fight is more important than having an ultimate advantage. So when you're in a position to exacerbate that further in your favor, it's important to go as quickly as you can.
Yeah, now you're seeing Austria. I mean, look, they talked a lot about the Widowmaker as a secret weapon. We have not seen it this far. They look a lot more comfortable playing without it right now. Icky's playing pretty good on the 76, but here comes the dive from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Vizility trying to find his target there. Itzeru's still caught up on the high ground for a little bit too long, but he's managed to get back to the safety of his Diva, though. Sensotix protecting. Now Austria can actually come back on towards this point. I like this. Give a bit of ground, then come back. We saw it yesterday as well. But Vizility now is going to come forward. The Dragon Blade could be pretty nasty. He's going to find the targets, but Itzeru shuts him down. It's a Cossack kick right to the breadbasket.
He saw how much damage he got with that reflect, and as soon as the blade came up, he just saw 3 targets in front of him. He's like, I'm going to cut them all up. And he goes right in. The tack visor comes out from Icky, a boot to the face from Itzeru, and it takes him out. And that actually ends up, I don't want to say losing the fight for the Netherlands, but it kind of all goes downhill from there.
This is something that I think that South Korea did very, very well yesterday when we covered that match is, giving ground, getting off the point, making sure that, if you're Zenyatta's up on the high ground to start with, you can usher him back to the back line of your team, get him under the protection of your Diva, and then slowly advance back to the point as defenders. Knowing how to give ground and then take it back is more important than getting in the enemy's face and making the first move as defenders. Oh, that's nasty. Too Easy picks Uber Bingo off across the map.
Yeah, dodges the pulse bomb as well. He's got a 1v1 on this side of the map against Kabaji. He's going to back all the way up. Does not want to take that fight as his teammates are fighting on some points. It'll be Watts7 propping that Primal Rage, just knocking players around, trying to stall this out. But Morta comes in with the sound barrier, trying to keep everybody from the Netherlands up.
The cracks are starting to appear here in the armor of the Netherlands so far. Not so much success on the attack here. And let's remind you of the stakes. A minute 40 remains for these attackers, and if they're unsuccessful, they're going to lose the entire map, and that's not how the boys in orange would like to start off this campaign against the Austrians. It's a solid hold so far. And there's a sound barrier here for Austria. Mortar and Dante do not have their ultimates available. Those defensive ultimates aren't going to be a factor for the Netherlands, so the odds of them winning these fights are exceedingly low.
You will have Facility with the Dragon Blade, though, so maybe this time he gets a better use of it. The last time we saw him dive in was Icky and Nitsaru, did a nice job handling him. He gets him a Discord Orb from Zenyatta, still pushing on forward. They get to Zenyatta, that's a big pick.
Yeah, one thing Facility did better this time was actually make sure he shut down Nitsaru before he could get back onto the point. Now, he's going to move back with the rest of the Netherlands. They're going to stand up, they're going to post themselves here. Sensonic's moving forward, and Uberbingo's kind of caught out. Kabaji's being forced at the back. You're a flanker, but you're in your own backline. That's not where you want to be. Jonah and 2Easy combining for 4 collectively, and the Netherlands will win that fight despite being at a considerable ult disadvantage.
It got dangerous there for the Netherlands a little bit. You see it's going to be Facility pushing up, trying to get some of these players off spawn. You see Uberbingo with Watt 7 trying to get all the way back towards their teammates who's spawning a little bit further out. Gonna get together, come fight this next fight as a team. They do have, they're gonna have a pulse bomb, they're gonna have the Diva ultimate, the bomb, and then you're also going to have Icky with the tac visor as well. So they have some ultimates here going into the next fight. But Facility still has not used this Dragon Blade, waiting for that perfect time.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay for him waiting for a couple of ultimates. The self-destruct's now going to dictate some positioning, an opportunity for Facility to get under the skin of Austria. So far, he hasn't been successful in this. Crusade's still forced to hold the front line, and 2Easy, you can see him trying to flank around a corner. A self-destruct coming in from Austria now will force the Netherlands back, but just for a moment. It's a breath of fresh air. Now to come forward again. A 1-for-1 trade, but Crusade finds Icky.
And now the Dragon Blade comes in with the Transcendence, trying to keep him up. Diva, she'll be demexed shortly, as Sensonic now trying to fly through the air, trying to stay alive. Watt 7 with Primal Rage, he's going to fall as well. It'll be Netherlands winning this fight. Look, they're letting Uberbingo stay alive a little bit longer. Now he's going to be a little bit slower to come off the spawn.
That's a good example of the role of Genji right now when it's hard for him to find kills without being backed up by Ana. Just get damage done. Facility used all of his Dragon Blade on getting Sensonics desuited because the Netherlands correctly identified that that was the priority target. Get rid of that defense matrix and they could snowball the rest of the fight.
Well, defense matrix is so big, right? If you have the opportunity, we see a lot of Tracers. They'll try and demech Diva or the Genjis, obviously, with the blade. 2AC in the back line, throws a pulse bomb on the ground. Not going to get anything with that. It's been a lot of pressure on Uberbingo, though, getting him a little bit pushed up further than he would have liked. And the sound barrier comes in for Netherlands. Jonah just trying to stay up. 2Easy takes out Icky in the back line, so that's going to be a big kill there for the Netherlands.
Far too much free reign from 2Easy in that fight for Austria's liking. He was sitting up behind him. We saw him there. He was able to do exactly what he wanted, and now he can clean this fight up. Tracer can clean up fights, but you don't want her to be able to do that from the very beginning. That's not ideal at all. Second checkpoint picked up for the Netherlands now. You can see that's the yellow box of victory here. This is very dangerous for Austria. The Netherlands can push a little bit ahead of their position right now and prevent Austria from even getting access to one last fight to stop the Netherlands.
And I love that decision from the Netherlands. Instead of just playing a little bit more passive in that choke, they're going to push a little bit on forward. Just trying to put some more pressure, maybe force Austria in a position they don't want to be in.
Now the jump in, you see Jonah going forward very quickly. Vasily, the Dragon Blade was there, but he's not found anything yet. Uberbingo goes down. Now back in to deal with the front line of Austria. They've already had the soft core of them gutted from them, shucked like an oyster, as it were. And it looks like the Dutch are going to come clutch in this fight now. Comfortable cleanups for all and sundry. And the payloader's going to roll forward. And that's going to do the job there. A shaky start from the Dutch. But they recover nicely in the last stages of this map. It's 1-0.
Such a nice decision there at the end from the Netherlands to push on forward. No, you saw Austria. They did not push on forward. They got kind of stalled out underneath the bridge. Netherlands, they push on through before even thinking about moving the payload. Gives themselves some more space to operate. Then goes back, works towards the payload, brings it in easy.
There's temptation if you're Austria. You're running from spawn. You want to try and get to the yellow box of victory as fast as you possibly can. And what that does, it actually causes Austria to willingly split themselves a little bit. They did try to flank a couple players around that building. And the Netherlands identified this immediately. We saw Jonah jump in on half of the pincer of the Austrian team as they emerged. So essentially the Dutch have caught Austria mid-step before they've set up for the fight, before they've got all their elements in place. And it was rather easy. The divide and conquer strategy still works today.
Yeah, I mean, when those games are coming down to the wire like that, it's such a tense situation, right? The tanks are in the front. They're thinking about that payload, right? Just getting towards the golden box. They're not really kind of worried about everything else. Like, they're just diving forward, just trying to get on the point. I believe it was Facility going all the way through the back with a Dragon Blade. He's able to get 1 or 2 kills with it. And then the tanks, I mean, you're just on the payload just trying to stay alive. I mean, you don't have any support because they're not coming anymore. You just have players attacking you from the front, attacking you from the back. Just puts you in a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst thing that can happen if you're being subjected to a dive when you're not ready for it, or when you can't call it, or when you can't say, we need to peel for our backline, because that's what happened in that fight. It was good target calling from the Netherlands, because I believe it was a Zenyatta, a Lucio, and a Soldier 76 were the first 3 to die in that fight for Austria. You've lost your healing, you've lost the majority of your damage, and now the Netherlands just turned onto the front line and said, well, here we go. Austria... Okay, so they tried to reactively dive in as well, but this can happen. Their comp was split in half. Their team was literally split over 2 halves of that area. So it's never really a great way to make a fight that you must win in those scenarios.
Yeah, and I think overall from the Netherlands offense, I think, Too Easy, you see him on your screen here. I think Austria just gave him way too much space to operate. I mean, how many times do we jump on with Too Easy, and you see him just putting a lot of damage in the Lucio, in the Zenyatta, even the 76, and there's nobody there to really kind of peel back, help those guys deal with the Tracer play.
Yeah, that was an interesting point. Before that second checkpoint, we were on board with Too Easy, and we noticed that because the sound barrier was in effect, Austria didn't really bother to turn around and deal with Too Easy at the time. They said, we've actually got a bit of a health buffer here, this is fine. But then when that expired, they were so preoccupied dealing with the targets they were already focusing that Too Easy's like, I'll take you, I'll take you, I'll take you.
Yeah, I mean, they never, once the sound barrier wears off, right? You can do it while the sound barrier is active, but then once the sound barrier wears off, you've got to turn around and deal with Too Easy. You can't let him just pick everybody apart.
And that's Overwatch in a nutshell. Your priorities are constantly being shuffled, and that's why calling in this game is so important, because you need incredibly dynamic. You need to be on top of it.
Well, that's like the conversation we were having before this match even started. We were like, oh, well, do you really need like an in-game strategist or somebody that just kind of like shot calls? And I feel like, just calling out targets is just so much more important. Like, if you have, very talented mechanical players, you're able to call out targets well and have good team coordination to jump on them, you're going to be a very successful team.
I would agree with that, Matt. We're going to be on to Lijiang Tower here, Night Market. It's 1-0 so far in the series, but Austria have started very well. Kabaji turning on towards Dante, and Too Easy getting nothing done with his first foray into the flanks.
So exactly what we didn't like about Austria's first part on Numbani, where they didn't peel, trying to deal with Too Easy. You saw a perfect example there. He dives in, goes for the Zenyatta, and you had Jonah and Crusade able to turn, it was actually, sorry, it's Watts7 and Sensatix able to turn around and pick him up.
That was Iki and Yucky on the Widowmaker there. Standing on the point, makes himself very subject to dives. He is picked up pretty quickly. The Netherlands have been able to quickly do their way back on towards this point. Kabaji, his recall's forced out, which means he needs to run back to the rest of his team. Look how split he was. You can see Austria through the wireframe. Kabaji was on his own against the entirety of the Netherlands, while Austria had already backpedaled considerably.
Yeah, and I don't know if I really love the Widow pick off the start here as well. I mean, now you're going to get the 76, but with the way that the Netherlands is playing, they're being so aggressive, I don't really know what you were going to get with that Widowmaker.
Again, if you don't have control of the point, there's a case to be made for it. When you do have the point, you need to stand on the point quite often, or at least have some protection from your team. You literally force your team to split to protect you. Too Easy goes very low, and Watts7 finds him though. He tried to get back to the solace and healing of Morte, but it wasn't enough. Now the sound barrier for Netherlands, and Vizildi almost has his Dragon Blade. One more tick and he'll be there.
He doesn't even need it for this fight, Mitch. You see the players falling from Austria. Kabaji does earn his pulse bomb, not going to use it. You saw Too Easy at the beginning use his pulse bomb, just went right into the defense matrix, but that doesn't really matter. It's a great fight there from the Netherlands. They hold on to the Primal Rage. They hold on to the Dragon Blade for this next fight coming up.
Yeah, quick couple kills for Austria, though. It looks like they're going to try and push or force the issue. And this has actually forced the Transcendence out from Dante. He's thinking, we're in control. We just lost a couple players. We need to cover our weaknesses for now. Vizildi, he springs forth at just when he's required. 2 kills coming from him. Crusade found Watts7 with a nicely placed self-destruct. Vizildi needs to play this carefully, and he does. That's nicely done. Discord orbs were perfect there as well. The backup from Dante was evident.
Yeah, perfect use of the Dragon Blade and the self-destruct there, and I feel so bad for Itzeru, right? He's on the point, and he's just got, the reflecting Genji in front of him. You have such low health, you don't really have many options but to die there.
Zenyatta does a lot of damage, but has very little health. So your orbs can be very lethal to yourself if they're being reflected. Like, it's not a fun situation to be in. Transcendence from Austria. They're using it just to try and get some ground here, but Too Easy taken down by Iki. Nice work with the Helix Rocket to claim the Dutch Tracer. Now it's a 5v6 scenario favoring Austria, and they're going to make it work for them here. They found 4 kills. The sound barrier, though, was also committed in this fight. That's a huge commitment of resources, but for Austria, it was a necessity.
Yeah, you do have the tack visor as well, and it will be Austria taking the point here. It's going to back the Netherlands up. The Netherlands, though, very close, Mitch, to closing out this game, 97%. Too Easy does have the pulse bomb. See if he can get something with it. Last time we saw him use it, threw it right into the defense matrix. Maybe he can make a play here coming around the backside of the point.
Too Easy, again, it's just poking and prodding right now. just trying to find a couple of the weaknesses here in Austria. If he can get onto an easy target like a Zen on the back, he's trying to force his way through the defense matrix and drop a pulse bomb. It doesn't look like it connected, but Vizildi, you better believe he did. Uberbingo dropped, Iki's down. So many important targets being claimed by Vizildi's Dragon Blade. This man has been talked up a lot by Too Easy, and now we can see why.
And he pops the Dragon Blade. He's able to take out Iki on the 76. The self-destruct comes in from the side of Austria. He just plays right around that corner. He's able to get some Sonics when he's out of the mech. Comes on through. A few to the face for Kabaji, and this is not looking good for Austria.
Vizildi just needs to be connecting all of his shurikens as well. That was quite nicely done at long range with a right click. It's actually quite hard to get much damage done. Sensonics is purely just stalling out here. It's a matter of time, and on this day, Austria realized the streets is real. 1-0 here on Lijiang Tower.
No, you never want to take Golden Boy lines. Anybody but Golden Boy. He's been saying the streets is real.
I thought it
30 times a day.
Streets is real though, man.
I've just blocked it out completely. But I heard it from your voice, and it just sounded vastly different, so I paid attention that time.
I tried to give it a little bit more.
I regret it as well.
Know?
Yeah, that was a good attempt.
You shouldn't listen to me, you know that, right?
I mean, I try. I mean, that's kind of my job to listen to you.
Jeez, that must be painful. I'm sorry.
No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So, it's 1-0. Obviously, this is the best of 3, ladies and gentlemen. So, already Austria found themselves on the precipice of giving up a second map here. And on virtue of just how much they've been able to match Netherlands in a lot of aspects, not all, but most, they wouldn't want to give this one up so cheaply.
Yeah, I mean, this is a series where, look, Austria, I mean, you obviously say Netherlands is the favorite. They've looked much better than they did yesterday. Obviously, going in South Korea, it's going to be extremely tough for anybody, but we'll see if Austria can get anything with the Widowmaker off the rip here. Next with a shot. Too easy trying to play out. I mean, here's the difficult part, right?
Let it die. This Widowmaker stuff, please.
Well, because now you're split off for the rest of your team, right? And it forces players back to try and help you, but it just puts your team in a very difficult position because you're so spread out.
Yeah, I mean, what Iki did there, though, as well, he did force the Netherlands to drive on him. But look at Jonah now. Last man standing in the fight. I believe he found like 3 or 4 kills there. So, I mean, it's not... Look, this team doesn't live or die in the back of the Widowmaker pick. It's not like necessarily a problem, right? Iki, if he's set up well, especially if they have control of the point, he can do so much with Widowmaker.
I was just about to say that. If they had control of the point, he would probably be able to cause a lot of damage. But actually trying to push in, get control of the point. Look, I mean, if they just put a little pressure on this corner, right, and don't let him get in position, he's really a non-factor in these fights.
I feel like that's true, especially if he eats a volley of Orbs of Destruction coming from Dante, which is the player is known to do. Iki has to be very, very careful. He can't peek properly on it. What's the point? He's found Too Easy. He's walked straight in there. That's a good opening. That might be all he needs to do, and he knows it. He's going to back up.
Yeah, if he can pick off Too Easy as the Tracer, that is a big kill. May open things up for Austria, but now the push needs to come in. It's going to be Crusade getting demeched here by Kabaji. Kabaji's going to finish him off. Dante trying to stay alive. Going to use that Tranquility on the point. I believe it's just him and Mort right now. The Pulse Bomb comes in. It's going to be just eaten up there by the Primal Rage. Winston just staying alive there for the Netherlands.
Yeah, that Pulse Bomb still could have been nasty, actually, because the Transcendence, well, can't really heal through Pulse Bomb damage. It's burst, but no one else from the Netherlands was caught by that. It was 2 supports and a Winston, and they managed to hold the point against the onslaught of the Austrians, and they're getting percentage every second as a result.
Yeah, the longer the Netherlands stalls this out, the better. Kabaji's going to be able to pick up one more on the point. But Austria, for all the good they have done, they do not have control of the point. It's going to be Crusade dropping that self-destruct inside of the point. Mortek, Crusade, Jonah off the spawn. They're getting back here, trying to make this a fight that the Netherlands turns in their favor.
Kabaji's second Pulse Bomb over the course of this fight, and this time he's hit pay dirt with it. At least getting rid of Jonah, who's been such a threat to him, especially now. Netherlands move up the point. They leave Sensonics there for whatever reason. They're still trying to keep the rest of Austria away from being able to contest this, but Kabaji comes back in. Now the man's starting to find his feet a little bit more, but more! It's a double boot popping through and Iki off the edge. That's gotta hurt. It happened off camera, but you don't really need to see it to know exactly how painful that is for Austria.
You can just imagine Kabaji's on the point. He's got 2 Pulse Bombs during that fight, putting down tons of damage. It's like, where's my teammates? Where's my teammates? Mort boots him off the side of the map. They never make it back to help. And look at this. The Netherlands has pushed so far forward that Austria is not even going to get back towards the point. It'll be Netherlands taking map number 2.
Grim scenes. Safe to say for the Austrians right now, the Netherlands are looking well drilled. That's the most important part here for them. After their performance yesterday, they definitely had to go from strength to strength, especially considering that their final opponent in the regular group stage will be South Korea. They're going to build up to that game and get the experience they need before they have a chance at least to try and see if gods really do bleed. 2-0 so far, Matt. Can't really complain about that if you're in the Netherlands position. We're going to head to a break as we're in half-time, and when we return, it will be all about Golden Boy and the desk to break down what we've seen so far.
always remember that power is a double-edged blade. One side light, the other dark. It calls to you when you are most desperate. When victory seems worth any sacrifice. There is a price to be paid for such a gift. And many eagerly accept the bargain. The righteous and the meek may recoil at its cost. But they have no vision. Power alone is not to be feared. Fear instead those who wield it.
The Overwatch World Cup 2017 is brought to you by Omened by HP, T-Mobile, and Blizzard Entertainment.
Welcome back, everyone, here for the halftime show between Austria and the Netherlands. The Netherlands up 2-0 after a dominating performance in Lijiang Tower. So not bad for the Dutch here, as they have a pretty good start. So
Yeah. Well, I was rooting for Austria here, so way to rub it in.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused if I generally look at the way Austria has been approaching that game. They've not really been coming together, not really playing as a unit. I felt like they got split up so often by the Netherlands, allowing Too Easy to just go in and pick one off after the other. So I felt like some sort of confusion in terms of positioning and like what generally is going on. It just didn't come together at all.
Yeah, well, they gave Too Easy a lot of room, but they didn't do a lot with it. I think Facility was a true danger of this Netherlands lineup here, and maybe What7 should focus him a bit more. They're playing the soldier composition on the side of Austria, which is generally more passive, right? You're sitting back, you want your soldier to do work, you want to focus on the diva primarily. But What7 needs to keep the Genji in mind and shut down Facility, because Facility got a lot of highlights throughout that game.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, James, Facility on Nubani was a beast. Like, he was just, I mean, to really put it lightly, he was doing everything that you could possibly want, right? And it was super impressive to see.
Yeah, before coming to the World Cup here, I was watching a lot of the Team Netherlands scrims, and he looked really impressive yesterday. He did falter a bit, but today he just turned that right back around. He was getting blades left and right. Initially, some of the blades were a bit hopeful, but then he brought it back around, and he was just able to get reset after reset coming on in. And yeah, I think the Netherlands are in a good spot right now, currently up 2-0, and they are looking in form.
I'm kind of just generally wondering, mostly on Lijiang, like What7, he's been one of the players I definitely was watching out for on top of Kabachi for the Austrian team. However, I felt like the way What7 is utilized on his Winston kind of made him a non-factor in literally every single team fight we saw there. I know Austria might have some issues like pulling off their strat, which they want to do, because they do not have a Genji player, right? And the way they're playing around the Winston and their diva, it's just, it doesn't seem to work out.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big problem. They're playing around Icky, and I think playing around Icky is fine, especially if he brings out that Widowmaker. But now it's on the Soldier 76. I think that Kabaji should help out his team more. We've seen him go for the flanks a bit more in the supports of Netherlands, but Morte has really been phenomenal in protecting Dante from Kabaji's Tracer. So he's done a really good job. And I think Kabaji needs to change up his playstyle a bit more. He needs to focus on the diva to make it easier for Austria to focus on the diva and also focus down Facility on the Genji.
Yeah, they're having a hard time shutting that down, and it was very evident in that Lijiang Tower game. So now we look forward to Game 3 here, and what are we feeling here? Are we thinking that that the Austrian team is going to take it to Horizon, or
I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
I would say they are going to Horizon.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they didn't, honestly, even though they did pick Volskaya against South Korea yesterday. So anything is possible.
I would like to see the Sombra pick again from Austria. I mean, it's very exciting to see the Sombra, and they've been one of the few teams that have actually pulled it out. So I would like to see Volskaya, but I'm not gonna vote for it. I'm not gonna vote for it. This is not an official vote for it.
This is
It's
an
just
official vote?
it's a suggestion, not a...
This is not my final bet.
So if you have to vote, what do you pick?
Don't ask me. Don't put pressure on me,
That's
golden boy.
Too late,
Yeah,
you already
it's hard.
did.
I know, right? Like,
It just happened.
I'm not a betting man.
You're not, clearly. James, your perspective on this. Could we see the Netherlands be, taken to a Horizon here? Would that be smart against this team?
I feel like Austria is more than likely going to go to Volskaya. It is a map where you can bring out both the Widowmaker and that Sombra play. You can even use them in conjunction on attack. Defense, it's going to be much more difficult to run with the style that Austria has been playing. So I only want to see them use it on offense, but I don't really
But they
have
will
faith
use it
in
on
Lunar
defense too,
Horizon
that's
Colony.
the issue.
Yeah, I think that Austria might be comfortable picking the Volskaya Industries, but you have to be wary about Dante's Sombra as well. Dante really likes playing the Sombra, and it's actually quite a good one, despite not having the full confidence of his team.
They really didn't.
No,
They didn't at
Well,
all.
Dante played for Movistar Riders, or ex-Movistar Riders, before that lineup broke up, and Neptuno was the main Sombra in that team, so Dante really didn't have time to show off his Sombra play, but he's really confident, and he is a really good Sombra player, so if they were to go to Volskaya Industries here on Austria, I think that Dante could be a real threat. Yeah, it's going to be rough. I'm going to go with Lunar Horizon Colony anyway, because I think it will suit Austria better.
Yeah, but James isn't wrong. Like, it does make sense.
There is no
for,
right and wrong here.
No, James isn't wrong in that, like, for them to, because they obviously want Icky on the Widow, so they,
Yeah,
and
but
they
also,
busted it out Li Zhang.
Icky would pick the Widow no matter where they go.
That's true.
That's just
That
kinda
is
it.
true.
You
When you
can't
go
pick-
full Widow.
And we've seen
We
good
saw the
Widow
Widow.
plays on Horizon also. So it can be a game changer on Horizon.
And we also
just as
saw a
much
good
as
Sombra
Volskaya.
play on Horizon. It just happens to be that, like, that
I mean,
person
yesterday Sombra that was from Netherlands, right? Like aggressive defensive dive with
Yeah, it was.
Sombra, like
Yeah, it
that
was
was the
Horizon.
Netherlands yesterday.
You don't want to
so
go versus that, but...
you really don't after what happened there at that spawn point.
Well, it's pretty easy to play around if you know what's up, right? But Poland
Do they
definitely
know that the
didn't know.
streets is real?
If you know
I
the
think
street
they-
is
they
real,
know.
you know how to play around it. No, but I think if you saw the
poking
Netherlands
at
game
Matt at this
yesterday,
point.
Well, yeah. Well, for one, I mean, I don't care about Matt's feelings, and also,
Yeah.
Uber over here stealing my lines. Like, homie don't like that. You
I don't
know what
blame
mean?
you.
Homie don't play that. That's basically what I'm trying to get at here.
Look at that hair.
That honestly, Jonah's hair.
It's good.
I truly wish I could grow hair. Like
right.
that, like because if I do it, it just becomes like this disaster. My wife makes me cut it like all the
Yeah,
time.
wink.
Yeah, did
They love the camera.
Yeah, he really does.
He winked.
He's a wink. He's
You
a
gotta play
winker.
it. You gotta play it. I mean,
Gotta play
it's
it
an
up.
asset.
It's like, look at James' hair. Yeah, James, you have this, these flowing locks, reinforced over here.
hey,
Hey,
AKA Taimu.
to that one guy on Reddit, I'm not Taimu. I want to make that very clear.
Very clear. Very clear.
potato,
Because-
potato. Come on now.
No,
It's had a lot of potatoes.
not at all. Like, one's DPS, one's tank. One's like 8 feet tall, the other one not.
The camera is just confusing people.
One's Finnish, one's Swedish. Like it's like it's just.
I do.
Don't wave me off. How dare you? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So just to clarify for that one guy on Reddit,
It's really important.
it's Taimu.
Yeah.
So he's so confused now.
I wish I could pop heads like Taimu on Widowmaker.
That's
yeah.
very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
It's very
I'm sure
true.
Icky.
Beautiful.
Icky's gonna need a
wants,
channel.
He wants that as well, because it wasn't working out on Li Zhang.
Well, one day.
It's
Hey,
just,
come on! He got on Li Zhang the first pickup
He
he
got a
got
couple.
onto the too easy. That could have been a fantastic opening.
Dude,
If the
going into
model
this series,
box
going into this
would
series,
have
I
been there.
sugar-coated Austria, but Netherlands caramelized that, so I wouldn't recommend it, Zoe.
Okay, I'm trying to silver linings here. I'm grasping for things, so I hope Austria.
grasping for
doesn't-
straws. So
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything which is in reach, I'm grasping it now.
All right, guys. Well, it's time to get into the matchup here. Hopefully, Uber doesn't steal any more of my lines because I know the swag is real. But in any case, though, we're going to send it over to Uber and Mr. X.
You know, Golden Boy, I'm not going to lie, I'll own that. I definitely did steal your line. The difference between you and me, though, is that I make this look good. Sorry. Netherlands and Austria. A couple more maps to run here, and Horizon Lunar Colony, I believe, is what has been queued up here between these two.
We'll see what Austria comes out and plays, if we see the Widow. Well, we were talking, the issue for them seems to be they just don't have a projectile player, right? They don't have anybody who can mix it up, run the Genji, run something like a Pharah. So it'll be Horizon coming up next, and they'll reinforce that. Expect to maybe see Dante on that Sombra. At least at the beginning, looks like that's what you might see.
All right, the defensive setup here for the Netherlands. Really nothing notable. Okay, so the Sombra Dante sort of situation there is like, he actually thinks that, he's okay, maybe not great. A lot of his team is like, oh, look, we don't want him to play it in scrims, or it always goes wrong or something like that. The guy is a sick flex support. He was on a team with another sick flex support, right? I don't think that's going to be the issue for the Netherlands here if Dante's playing Sombra or not. He's sick.
The easiest way to look good is to tell other people you're not going to be good and then come out and play decent, then you're amazing.
Play against a team that's running Widowmaker whenever they can. That's also a thing. To be fair, though, in this situation, I actually don't mind Widowmaker. The attacking team doesn't have the best sight lines at the top left balcony, though. That's the problem. Iki can't really aim up to the top left at all. So if the Netherlands know how to keep themselves scarce, it's going to be very, very hard for the Widow to find picks here.
Yeah, and also, I mean, if you get that Widowmaker ultimate, it keeps you, on track of Sombra a little bit more, right?
Absolutely. She can't hide from you at all.
So I think maybe you see them stick on the Widow a little bit longer than we have, but I also really liked Iki on the 76. Like you've seen when Austria is at their best, they're most successful, it's when he's playing that Soldier 76.
And look, it's a weakness for Austria that they do not have a projectile player. But that in the current meta right now is something you can get around. I don't mind the Widow here, but look, Iki, if he wants to go up on high ground, he won't be able to see around that corner. So he's literally got to sit and try and hope that someone peeks out and faces him. So far, the Netherlands have been caught up in close quarters, and Itzero's found a quick double. It was Crusade getting desuited and then getting taken down by the Orgs, but the Netherlands recover yet again.
Yeah, but you see the Netherlands are winning these fights fairly convincingly. It's because Austria is moving in. You have Iki just trying to play a little bit further back. Maybe wait for some players that just kind of get low health, come around the corner, pick players off coming out of the door. But Netherlands, they're so disciplined. They play inside of that area. They don't give him any sight lines available for pickoffs. And he doesn't really get anything for the Widow. You see him switch over to the Reaper now. I like this pick a little bit more.
And no shade on Iki at all. It's totally fine to play Widowmaker to open this map up, especially the team up the top right, but they weren't. Now he's been hacked though as well. Still, you can do a light as Reaper when you're hacked. Unfortunately, there's not much to stop the damage coming through. He had very little support, and the Netherlands opened that fight pretty comfortably there with the EMP from Dante. Austria are forced to submit.
And you do like the Reaper pick here because when he does get EMP'd, obviously, you lose his abilities, but he just deals a ton of just brute damage.
He just can't get away, that's the problem.
Yeah, there's not really a way for him to escape. But at that point, you're already committing to the fight. When you're EMP'd, you're just kind of trying to run in through.
Exactly, he's not the most useful hero while EMP'd, I'd say. There might be some others, you could make a case for McCree, but either way, Transcendence by Mord, that's been forced by the fact that Dante's fallen early in the fight. The early pick from Austria was good. Essentially, it's forced the ultimate out, and Too Easy had no protection from Transcendence for the Pulse Bomb. Nothing could be done there. Kabaji's also found more. This fight is occurring out in the open field. It's difficult for the Netherlands to protect their backline. But now, Jonah and Facility are right together here in the low ground, at least trying to regroup, get a bit of health, and also giving a lot of ultimate percentage to Dante from this health pack.
Yeah, they're going to get healed up by Dante's health pack. You see Crusade using that just a little bit, but it's Kabaji able to take him out before he's able to get right back in his mech. And here comes the Transcendence from Itzeru. He's going to use that to keep his teammates alive. The EMP comes through here from Dante, just trying to locate players, but his teammates are falling. It's all up to Dante. Get here on the point, just trying to stay alive for as long as possible. Well, not much longer than what we were talking about. Watt 7 picks it up. It'll be Austria taking point A.
Yeah, sorry, Dante. The tire swing is not made for you, my friend. And frustrating stuff for Crusade there. Now, normally, if you're desuited and resuiting up, you want Jonah to pop a bubble over you so you can actually, stay alive before you do that. The fact that he got burst down by Austria before he could get back in the suit made a huge difference in that fight because it would have meant that Iki would have struggled to do the damage, but then he had free reign pretty much after the fact, and the EMP was kind of wasted there, unfortunately.
Well, I think if you're going to switch maybe over to the Ana, then you just pop the EMP. Facility comes in with the Dragon Blade. Iki, though, able to get a pick onto Jonah, so you see him having success with the 76. The Blade comes through, though. It's going to be Facility able to get one. Been extremely impressed with his Genji play. Sensotix, he's going to get D-maxed. Watt 7 going to back all the way up. Netherlands will take this fight.
Yeah, and guess what? There's no option for Sensotix here to to end his life early,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
he's stuck in a very difficult spot here, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, he gets the D-suit here, so I mean, this is something, but he'll get burst down just as quickly. So this stall is now going far longer than it should have. Since Sonics really had no reason to resuit himself there, he probably should have just hung around. I mean, it's very, very hard to be sort of staggered out there as a D.Va. They've lost a lot of time as a result, too.
I mean, now they're going to have to wait an eternity, it's going to feel like, for him to get back off the spawn there. It's a very smart play there from the Netherlands. Kabaji with the pulse bomb. Maybe he can find a support all the way in the back. Now, on the side of the Netherlands, you only have that pulse bomb as well. It's going to be a Primal Rage coming up soon here for Jonah. So we'll see how Austria plans this attack.
Yeah, Katowice's been flanking here as well. Got to keep an eye for that. Netherlands are playing on the high ground. They don't want to let Austria get too close to the point. They're making them pay sorely for every meter that they gain pushing forward. And Austria get nothing in that fight. Completely decimated here. And the Netherlands didn't use any ultimates. That is so big. Austria tried a junk rush. It didn't work out. The Netherlands maintained their 5 ultimates. And Icky is back to the Widowmaker.
If there was one thing you wanted to do is maybe try and force the support ult out or force the blade out, but you don't force anything out if you're Austria. Now Netherlands has everything to work with in this next fight. You have the Widowmaker again, and I don't know how you're going to use the Widowmaker here, because you couldn't give 76 any space up top. Going to be much harder for the Widow. Maybe you just plan to play much further back, but that's not really going to help you get forward, take that point.
Now, it could be that the Austria are hoping to use Icky as a tasty morsel to bait a dive in from the Netherlands here. Dragon Blade for Facility. He's now going to get the nano boost. We don't see this often for him, and now he makes the most of it. So much damage coming through. Then Sonic's going to get de-suited and picked up. Facility with an easy 3 in that fight. We see he has success even without nano boost in many fights where the Dragon Blade is required to be the equalizer. And well, he just gets so much more potential for decimation. But Dante backing him up with that ultimate.
You just see when you get that nano boost onto the Dragon Blade, the chaos it can cause. See 3 kills there for Facility. We'll see Morta does have that Transcendence, so if you see the Primal Rage or some picks start to go down for Austria, you'll see that support ult come out. Crusade on the point, using that defense matrix, trying to keep his teammates alive. 2EC gets a pick there on Watt7, and it looks like Watt7's almost on the point alone. Like his teammates were there, and then like before he even fought, they backed all the way out.
That's why it's not even a pick, you know? Watt7 was... Okay, well, I don't really know, to be fair, because I would have liked to have seen Sensonics follow Watt7. I think Sensonics had to go back to the high ground to peel for his supports in backline because 2EC and Co were threatening them. And what happens there is that Watt7 doesn't exactly have a rewind button. He can't just go, I'm going to go back up on the high ground now. So Austria were caught again mid-step. It's something the Netherlands are very good at doing, is sort of interrupting and staggering their advance and finding targets that don't have the protection they normally would have.
So you try about 2 or 3 pushes if you're Austria with the Widow. Now you go back to the 76. You should have almost just stayed with the 76, right? Because now you don't have that ultimate build that you had earlier, so you may miss out on, what, 1 extra attack visor here, which could have been huge.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't know what Icky was sitting on ultimate-wise when he switched, but Pulse Bomb's going to hurt, though, surely! It's a roof falls, but Kabaji found one at the same time. Both teams claimed enemy supports with Pulse Bombs. Jonah and Kabaji now as well, still getting themselves on this kill feed. Watt7 goes low, drops the bubble. Great timing on that one, but Uberbingo was knocked through it. Jonah gets the Primal Rage, and this guy, anger management, definitely not a thing he's familiar with. Nicely done, though. And Netherlands again, deflect Austria. Maybe 1, maybe 2 more chances to go. Austria need to make the most of this sound barrier and Primal Rage of their own. Transcendence is there. That's going to be very, very important.
You can see Jonah when he was on the point, he was getting pretty weak, getting low, pops that Primal Rage, stays alive, helps wipe out the rest of the members of Austria. We'll see if the sound barrier from Uberbingo maybe use that to lead the push in. I think with the way that Austria hasn't really been able to create space up top, you almost have to use that sound barrier to almost initiate in this next fight.
Yeah, and that's kind of annoying when you have to do it and not reactively sometimes because the enemy can disengage. But on this point, it's harder for the Netherlands to give too much ground. They need to stand and deliver. Nice little sleep dart going forward. Oh, Watt7 didn't make it to his target, unfortunately. He may be on the moon, but the home ground advantage is not present for him. Facility of the Dragon Blade. Icky's cut down. He got a little bit too close to the ramp at Genji. And the last chance for Austria seems to be fizzling out. Sensonics now, it's a shocking reception as soon as he's leapt from his suit. And a Primal Rage here for Watt7 now. It's just a stall, it's just a pleasantry, it's just a matter of formality, Matt. Overtime is done, and that is going to be the hold from the Netherlands. Only 1 checkpoint offered over to the Austrians.
Yeah, and you saw when Watt7 popped the Primal Rage, Jonah was on the point with the nano boost. Instead of standing there just kind of give damage to Watt7, he sees Kabaji just trying to mess with Dante on the left-hand side of the screen. He jumps right, forces him all the way back, keeps Dante alive, able to heal the rest of the members on the point. It's a smart play there from Jonah in the end as Netherlands gets a hold.
And remember, Winston's capable of offloading a lot of damage in a very short period of time. You land on a foe, you know the one still got the scars. You land on a foe, a melee attack, and then start getting damage done. All of a sudden, you're bursting pretty hard. When you're nano boosted, of course, you're doing even extra damage. So, especially as a tracer, maybe you've blinked, maybe you've taken some damage, maybe your recall's down. It can be very, very hard to respond to. So I'm talking about this. We talk about this so much, how the priority is always changing for teams like the Netherlands. Their target they need to go for often switches. And if Jonah himself can make that decision himself, he didn't ask anyone what to do. He made the correct call in that fight. And that's that individual game sense that Netherlands seem to be touting so much of.
Yeah, just great in-game sense on who to target, what to prioritize at the right time. The Netherlands, a very rock-solid team, may not have the explosion of, a combination like Shadowburn and Mistakes has on the side of Russia, or, Surefour with agilities on Canada, but just a very rock-solid team, definitely a threat. So we do see Kabaji, so I was going to actually ask you, if we just, last night we saw Singapore, they ran May Reaper, did not expect to see May Reaper, but you're actually going to see Kabaji opt to go away from the Tracer. They're going to go with the Reaper here, and they're actually going to bring in Ryan and Zarya as well.
This comp says a lot of things to me. Firstly as well, Zarya doesn't operate very well when she's trying to interact with an enemy that's on a different level to her. What I mean by that is like higher or lower, for example. Your left click is limited in range and your right click can be a little bit hard to judge over those kind of differences in height. So this composition, Austria wants to stay on the point and not leave it. They've got the Reinhardt and the Zarya there. They've got the Reaper, of course, so they probably want to keep hidden for as long as possible. They want to force the Netherlands to come crashing in, and they just want to be this unstoppable force on the point to stop it from being captured.
And Too Easy, obviously motivated by Icky, Widowmaker. He's going to bring out the Widow of his own. And with that Ryan shield, yep, he's going to go right on back. It's
got to be a tracer
pretty quick.
It's got to be a tracer here for Too Easy. He sees the Reinhardt. He should be grinning from ear to ear now as well. This is a position where he can do a heck of a lot of damage, and we have seen the tracer, also the Sombra as well, because don't forget, if you hack a Zarya, she's essentially useless. She can't get any extra damage from his shields. She can't shield anyone at all, and the Reinhardt has his shield completely removed when being hacked. So many susceptible targets here to Sombra.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Sombra can get a hack on Orion, I mean, he's just a standing meat shield, just waiting to just be pummeled down by Tracer. So we'll see who the target is of Sombra. So you see some damage coming in here at the beginning, just trying to back up Austria a little bit. Both teams just poking, trying to figure out the best course of attack. You see Too Easy, though, coming all the way around to that outside, trying to get a flank going.
Yeah, and not just Too Easy, but Dante. So they're behind Austria right now. So Netherlands are going for a two-pronged attack. Dante's here. Oh, he's hacked the Reinhardt. The shield's not going to be there.
Oh,
he also has an EMP.
No.
That's devastating. Everyone from Austria is caught in that one. There's no chance to even reach for their weapons, but they're fighting back well. Kabaji in 1-7. These guys can still do damage when hacked, and they have been doing so. Nano boost used on a Kabaji there, even during the EMP, so perhaps just maybe Itzaru avoided getting hacked in the first place. That's a nice little hold.
When I saw him hack the Ryan and pop the EMP, I was like, everyone's going to die. I was like, it's going to be so bad. And somehow they're able to just stay alive through it. You saw the nano boost come in on a Kabaji. No, actually, when Ryan gets hacked, I mean, and you're just kind of running into him, obviously the hammer extremely powerful.
Exactly.
And obviously you have Kabaji, with the damage that Reaper puts out, and they're
still
able
fighting
to
on
live
close
through
quarters. You're still fighting them on their home ground, essentially, right? So even without those abilities, they can spread a lot of that, we'll call it basic damage, I guess, that comes from their, their Mouse 1 abilities, and that's sufficient in that case.
Now you see the Dragon Blade come through, 4 facilities. Gonna get a lot of damage on the reflect, but it's gonna force all the players of Austria into this back corner, and they're sustaining in these fights, Mitch, but the positioning is gonna get very scary one time. Maybe Too Easy lands a big pulse bomb here.
Oh, on the front of the shield, he dropped the shield! Oh, I don't think that was what he intended at all. He took so much damage that Itzaru falls down. Ubabingo is going to be picked up straight afterwards, and Sensonics is forced to back off the point or offer his life. Either one is fine by the Netherlands. Austria, it's been an admirable hold thus far. This point will be captured as Kabaji is going to be running low on options here to avoid his ultimate demise. And now the Netherlands are on the road, they're on the board. They just need 1/3. 1/3 of this second point to take this map as well.
They have 5 minutes to do it. See, it's going to be Dante hacking these health packs, giving that extra health to his teammates. You're going to see Too Easy go back now to the Widowmaker as well. So a little bit of a change-up.
Just really quickly there as well. If a Reinhardt shield gets stuck by a Pulse Bomb, I believe you can drop the shield and the Pulse Bomb drops to the ground and then you quickly put your shield back up. I think the timing was a little bit off there. What7 was a little bit slow on putting his shield back up. He didn't get taken down by it, but of course he lost his Ana.
You're going to see Morte, he's going to engage here with the Sound Barrier. Dante gets one, Crusade with another. Now they're going to work their way back towards the point, and EMP came in as well. Kabaji is able to take down 2. I feel like that's what we say in a lot of these fights. Kabaji is able to pick up some kills. Everybody else falls. Netherlands will take the point. They will take the 3rd map as well.
Austria in pretty much utter disarray when it came to that second point hold. It's insane how quickly they got divided and conquered, if I'm honest with you. The first point fight was where a heck of a lot of those ultimates for Austria were ultimately invested. Come by the second fight, they were not in position to receive, and that is something that the Netherlands keep doing. They're making the most of positioning errors on the side of Austria. They're very good at identifying players that are not where they should be and making an informed decision about where to make the first incision in the team composition of Austria to ultimately take them down. I've said ultimate about 72 times so far in these last few sentences. That's just the fact of the matter. It is the Netherlands making very, very good use of their prediction.
And Austria, I feel like, you know, if they're going to be kind of bummed with that third map, I really think it's that first point hold. You know, they withstand that big EMP at the beginning. They're able to fight back, hold on to that first push. And then it just kind of falls apart. They just kept getting pushed back, and then there was nowhere to go. They were just trapped in that corner. And I feel like they had the right idea, just maybe not as aggressive. I mean, you saw, you know, in the Poland-South Korea match, where Poland, when they would get a little bit aggressive, they would make things happen. I feel like if you are Austria, you know, Kabaji's been doing a very nice job in this series, you know, picking up some kills at the beginning of these fights. Maybe if you were a little bit more aggressive, you can swing things in your favor more.
Yeah, it can be tricky as well on that first point. I mean, Horizon Lunar Colony can be really difficult for defenders to play in general. The first reason being, of course, that first point, there are 3, even 4 ways to access that point from multiple height levels as well. So a defending team, yeah, if they want to fight on the point, they need to very much stay together. But in Overwatch, you know, we always use the term zoning, sometimes ironically about ultimates that don't do any damage but just force people back. But in that case, you saw the Vizility Dragon Blade force the entirety of Austria to the very back of the point. Then the Crusade self-destruct was thrown at the back of the point, so all of a sudden, What7 now has to turn his shield and put him and the rest of his team in the corner of the point. And then a pulse bomb is applied to the shield of What7. We saw what happened there, it all kind of messed up. So slowly, bit by bit, the Netherlands are just sectioning off parts of the point without a no-go zones for the Austrian team, despite the Austrians having a stronger close-quarters team in theory.
And it just puts the Austrian team in such a difficult position because, you know, so many things are happening, right? You're pushed all the way back into the corner, and then you're basically forced to make a decision between 2 pretty bad choices, like at that point, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, well,
Americans know all about that, I guess, so
nah,
you can tell me, man.
Another time. There's only 1 map left. I don't have enough time right now.
True. Well, no USA yet. You'll be seeing them over in the Burbank stage, of course. Santa Monica it is now. It's going to be exciting. Trinix Taipei will also be representing, so that's just going to be a 6 stage in general. But this one is definitely far from done, and there's plenty of explosions and fireworks for us to witness here over the course of today. And tomorrow, Route 66, it's going to be the last map in this 4-map series. Netherlands looking to take it 4-0. This could be very strange in this group. 2 teams at 8-0, 2 teams at 0-8.
It's set up a very good match between Netherlands and South Korea tomorrow. And a little bit of a grudge match in Austria versus Poland. You know, playing for pride there, seeing who can, you know, take the most games. So we'll see. It'll be Austria on the attack first. They're just messing around their spawn right now. They don't have to get too serious for a little bit. They still got 30 seconds before they figure it out. One thing too, in the last you know, Horizon Lunar Colony, when Too Easy is with the Widowmaker at the beginning, and as soon as he sees the Rhine, he changes right away. It's like that's something where, you know, we've seen Austria. They'll see a comp that maybe, you know, doesn't suit their comp the best, and they'll just try it out to begin with, right? Too Easy, you know, they go back to the spawn, and Dante switches over to the Sombra. They switch him onto the Tracer, and immediately, instead of playing games, you know, trying to make it work, they switch to a comp they know they can make effective against the Austrian setup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about knowing the value of time and knowing that you don't have any time to lose, essentially. All right. The thunder sticks around, the crowd is behind it. Austria a chance to take themselves a map here. Now they're playing Icky on this Reaper again, so they're hoping for Netherlands to get aggressive on this dive, but Kabaji's picked up. More just peeks out from the corridor and claims him with a headshot.
And this is what we saw in Russia versus Singapore last night. You saw Russia play in this exact position that the Netherlands is in. They were able to get control of the health pack. Hey, he got caught on the train. It's okay. Happens, everybody. It's backing all the way up. It's going to have that help now, and we'll see. Maybe he can attack, you know, from the top, gain himself a little bit, you know, closer towards the tanks. That's really where you want to get him in position. See him trying to get down here. He's going to put a lot of shots into Jonah, back him up.
Nicely done. Too Easy's claim there by Icky, but it's traded out. Vizility actually gets all the way into the back, finds it through, and then manages to dash back out. Dante is also there as well. So much flanking going on from the Netherlands right now, putting a lot of pressure on Austria to stay together as a unit, but Icky's done well to deal with some of these bigger targets.
You see how Reaper can be very effective when the tanks jump onto your team. No, Reaper, almost the mobility kind of goes out of the question, right? We worry about him. Can he be, you know, extremely mobile in like a dive comp? You know, way, but I mean, when you just play him a little bit further back, let those tanks dive into you, and you just put so much damage that now they're forced to disengage. Now you can kind of push forward.
We're going to creep from too easy here as well. So someone that can deal both very well with Tracer and Reaper. Ideally not both at the same time. For too easy, he doesn't really want that, but you see how much time the Netherlands have had to set up because they fought that first fight so aggressively. They can respawn in, they can come back to the rest of their team. What7 was way too deep there. We had no support. Facility wasn't, no, Sensonics wasn't sure if he wanted to join him now, and this has given the Netherlands a chance to spring forward.
Yeah, and because he's so far forward, the EMP comes out, everybody, you know, in the back by the payload is just an easy target for Facility with the Dragon Blade. So Netherlands gets a stop here. Now Austria, all they have is the sound barrier going to this next fight.
I'm really not sure what was behind the What7 jump in there. Sensonics saw him, he was on the bridge, but he seemed like he was defense matrixing something else. And that was the one Winston versus the world, and if you ask Johnny, that doesn't really work out too well.
Well, one thing you could actually kind of see with maybe this Austrian team is What7. You know, he's the player with the only professional experience. And, you know, at that top level, you know, the game is going so fast that they're able to make these decisions maybe a little bit faster than the rest of his teammates. He pops the Primal Rage, tries to push on forward. It'll be too easy. Taking out Icky there with a nice headshot. As What7 just trying to cause damage, trying to keep his team in it. Crusade takes out its Zero, and here comes another EMP here from Dante as Austria has fallen.
Yeah, this is concerning stuff for the Austrian side, and this is also reminiscent of what happened going up against North Korea as well. That payload really didn't move very far at all. Sorry, I'm breaking everything here in the caster room. I'm getting too excited. I'm all about moving the hands. But Korea held Austria to this hairpin corner as well. And it was such a short match here. Austria need to get more bang for their buck here. Sensonics obviously is more of a Zarya aficionado. This D.Va must be crisp. He's got to work together with What7. They don't have any dive though. That's the thing. So What7 needs to play more of a peel role here.
It's Iggy putting a lot of shots into Jonah. He does have the Primal Rage, so going to stay alive. See, maybe you use the Death Blossom. We'll see if he can track down a few of the members from the Netherlands all grouped up. You see there, force him back into a corner. It's a smart double team there from Jonah and Dante, as players from Austria have fallen yet again. Facility with another Dragon Blade here.
The first thing you do when you see a Sombra get kills, you need to check that ultimate percentage, and Dante has already filled his up yet again. We saw how devastating that EMP was. So this will be 2 EMPs for Dante over 3 fights. That's about as good as it gets for Sombra right now. I think Custer's managed to get, you know, 1 every fight for a short term, but this is going to be so hard for Austria. 24 seconds remaining now. They're going to play up against this EMP. They've got to dig real deep, Matt.
It's going to be an EMP and a Transcendence here for the Netherlands in this fight. And you also have 2 easy. Pay attention to that Deadeye coming up very soon.
Icky goes in now, he's got the Death Blossom ready to go, but he needs to get past that D.Va defense matrix. He's forced to back away, the Deadeye's in there. What's too easy, gonna find? He found Icky, the perfect target. The man who had the ability to break down the Netherlands is now off the map. Beautiful EMP to follow up, and everything is going right for the men in orange. Sensonics getting desuited, the last man up on that point, and that is gonna do it. That will be all, thank you very much. And for Austria, das war nicht genug. That means that was not enough.
Yeah, I was looking at you, Clueless. I had no idea what that meant.
Yep.
It's a very strong hold there from the Netherlands. Big Deadeye there from Too Easy. You know, we talked maybe it's like a zoning tool, but right there the Death Blossom comes in, able to take out Icky right away. After that, the EMP comes through, and then Netherlands gets aggressive, takes the fight to Austria. They win it. Now we'll see what Austria will do on defense.
Again, it was very concerning for Austria to have to play the defense in the last time they were on Route 66. The payload, to be fair, had gotten further against the Netherlands than against the Koreans, and perhaps that's not surprising. Unfortunately, it doesn't really improve the situation too much because the payload needs to get to out the front of big girls, right? This means that if Austria want more than one fight to defend this, they need to jump into the spawn of the Netherlands and try and win there. If they get wiped there, they can get back here because the payload takes a little while to round that hairpin turn. But it's risky, right? If Austria want to play the safer game and fight from big Earls, they may only have the one opportunity to defend this.
Well, we've seen teams, you know, all the teams that we've seen pull off this great hold on Route 66 at the beginning on defense have had a Sombra in it, right? They've hacked that, you know, Mega at the bottom, the Mega under Big Earls, and you're able to just farm a lot of EMPs, stop the enemy team from their tracks. But it's a hero that Austria is not really used to playing, so they're going to have to go with the 76. And the Tracer, it's going to be even harder to pull this hold off.
I am loving this.
Again, Austria no stranger to the high pressure situation, and Uber Bingo's maybe just trying to work a little bit of that off. Again, There are a lot of notable players that use this trick very effectively to sort of stall points out. Obviously, Ubabingo can't do that here. This is purely practice. Players like Dak as well from Team Spain was one of the first, people say DSP Stanky, I say Dak. He also believes it was him. The first to really make use of Lucio being in weird spots. But the problem is, Ubabingo needs to be with his team. He needs to be literally on top of them.
Too easy, may be able to find something with Widow at the beginning of this fight. Would not be shocked if he gets a pick and then goes back, switches to Tracer right away, then just gets right back into the action. Try and put this game away as fast as possible. Trying to get Netherlands another 4-0, and Austria, for me, Mitch, is playing so far back. They need to get aggressive here on the point.
Yeah, I mean, they will have a chance to come forward. They've noticed Too Easy's on it. This guy's trying to go full scope all day long. I don't know if it's going to work out from there, but Too Easy's still standing for whatever reason. What7's fallen down already, so Austria playing at a man disadvantage. This could be curtains.
And look at the threat that Facility has. He's just standing on top of Big Earls, just forcing the supports back here for Austria. They don't want to get close to the card. It is Kabaji, though. He's able to pick up 2 kills, and Sadek's there trying to guard him with that defense matrix, trying to keep this fight going for Austria.
Credit to Crusade there. He's stuck right next to Facility, kept him alive with that defense matrix, and eventually at the cost of his own life, he's forced to now throw himself off the edge. So, first hurdle has been overcome by Austria. They've got ultimates that are coming up soon that will be a factor in this fight. The Transcendence and the Tac Visor and the Pulse Bomb specifically. Too Easy switched off the Widowmaker now to the Tracer, so it's back to the drawing board for the Dutch.
And we'll see, maybe the Netherlands can force that Transcendence out when it comes and then use the Dragon Blade, but the Dragon Blade comes in and they're able to get Icky before he actually gets the Tac Visor, so that's a huge kill. If that's all you get for the Dragon Blade, you're totally okay with that going into this fight.
Mate, if you just force an ultimate for the Dragon Blade, you're probably happy enough as it is, but it was traded out regardless, so both teams lost the DPS in that ensuing fight. Jonas looking pretty healthy, drops down to What7, he's got a Discord or one, and Dante has a Transcendence ready to go. He pops that. It's going to be very, very hard to try and pull the Netherlands off this point. What7 is felled there by a boot. It was a self-destruct, came over the top board, was taken down by it. That forced Dante away, actually, and it's going to cause him to be one-on-one against Kabaji in the background. He's going to fall to that. Yona has himself the Primal Rage, and slowly the needle tips in favor of the Netherlands.
It's going to be very difficult for Austria. They're spawning so far away. It's Zero and Kabaji trying to make it back towards the point. It will not happen. There'll be Netherlands taking game number 4, taking all 4 maps in this series.
This group it's got very interesting, perhaps for a different set of reasons that groups were interesting in Sydney, but nonetheless, we now have 2 teams, the Netherlands and South Korea, currently sitting very comfortable here at 8-0. As we see cross-group play, that's also going to be a factor. Also, the playoffs late tomorrow are going to be very interesting. Matt, it's been quite the match, my friend, a 4-0 for the Netherlands, but now we're going to head over the desk here as they want to break this one down in just a moment. Thanks for joining us so far.